Hello, hello. I'm Strider, your host here at Author in the Headlights. I want to thank you for joining us. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and you won't miss a single episode. Today, we've got Lynda Bailey. Good morning, Lynda.
Good morning, Strider.
Now, you write romance.
I do. I write erotic romance,
Well, hot and hotter.
hot and hotter and hottest.
But you've also done a little bit of fantasy, horror, paranormal, and
Mhm.
Alyce through the Lycan Glass. I love that,
Yes.
by the way. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a challenge to get that one out. So
Was it? Well,
it
I tell you
was.
what, I have not yet read that one, and I'm going to because that's my kind of genre. Well, we'll see how hot I can put up with, but
Not so much hot. That's definitely more paranormal horror-ish.
and I did read through all that description ahead of time, so I think I can get away with that. My wife will say, "All right, that one you can read." So, what brought you to hot romance as a genre?
Oh, well, when I was an adult, after I had had my child, um, and I wasn't working because my husband was supporting us. Um, I fell into a mom group, and I had read some romance when I was in college, but not really what I wanted to read. But the other moms in the group were subscribers to Doubleday. This is all the way back in the day when Doubleday would send you hardback books,
Yep.
right, in the mail, right? And so I borrowed a couple of the books and I read historical romance by an author named Lorraine Heath. And I got to tell you, I was hooked. I was hooked on the emotional connection that I made with the characters. I was hooked on the writing. I was hooked on the sex that was on the page. And that was the nudge I needed to start writing my own stories. And I also was a fan of Nora Roberts and Sandra Brown, yada, yada, yada. So when I started seriously pursuing publication and I got into a critique group, one of the other gals in the critique group wrote erotic romance. And she was like, Lynda, you're this close. Just step over that line, girl. Step over. Come on. The water's fine on this side, right? And so I did. And it was, I don't want to say it was, awakening or anything, quite like that, but it felt right. It felt right that the love scenes are motivated, they are part of the story, and they're graphic, right? And I was okay with that. I understand that that's not everybody's cup of tea. And but it for me, it's what I enjoyed reading, and it made sense that that's what I wanted to write as well.
That's great. Has that ever caused you any problems in your life, a community, other family member, things like that?
No, no, my sister, she's pretty spiritual. She doesn't read my stuff. She did read Alyce through the Lycan Glass,
Hmm.
but she doesn't read my more graphic romances. She's more into biographies, into autobiographies. She's more into nonfiction, and she doesn't judge. She doesn't say, "Oh my God, you're ashamed to the family" or anything like that. I've never had. I shouldn't say I've never had. I've had people make fun of my genre, and that for me that comes from a place of ignorance. They just don't understand, right? But then romance itself is kind of the black sheep of the genres.
It
How
is.
dare
It is.
women decide that they're going to write for women? How dare they?
I would say that looking back through your books, and mostly it's women that tends to read them. And then you might think, that kind of hot, that'd be a guy. Women are the romantics.
Yeah,
I
we
try to
are.
be. but I can't do it like that. Anyway, it must be
And
fun.
it is fun. And what I enjoy probably most of anything is that when wives and girlfriends read my stories, the husbands and the boyfriends, they get a little something something on the side, right?
Well, I'm not quite,
So
but I think so.
don't trash it till you've tried it kind of situation. Writing romance is just kind of second nature to me. I mean, I've been making up stories since I was a kid. And when I was a little girl in grade school, it was Gunsmoke and it was Bonanza and it was those types of westerns that were
Here,
on
here.
TV. And I would make up stories where I would fall in love with one of the characters, but I never died. Nobody ever died. And that's something else that people don't understand. This is romance. It's not a
Yeah.
love story. In a love story, somebody dies. In a romance, you get your happily ever after. And I remember laying in bed at night thinking through all the things that had to happen in my story in my head. When I fell in love with little Joe Cartwright from Bonanza
Yep.
and how we were able to continue on after the episode was over and we lived happily ever after.
But now I have a question.
Okay.
For the Texas Trilogy, there's only two books. What's with that?
I know. I know. I know.
Is there a third one coming?
There is a third. There is a third. It's going to be Sedona's story. When I first became an independently published author back in 2012, I had a lot of stories that were backed up and that I had written and put through a critique group. But then came the arduous process of writing a query letter and then sending it out to,
Oh
hither and
gosh,
yon. And it was just like,
so much
no,
work, so hard.
I'm not interested in doing it. It's like once I wrote the end and I had it through my critique group, I was done. It's like I was done. So it went into a drawer. So when I decided to go the indie route, I had a lot of books stacked up that needed some polishing, needed a little work still, but I was able to, in the first several years that I was publishing my work, I was able to do a couple of titles a year. And I spoke briefly about how Alyce was hard in coming. I got inspired to write Alyce in 2010. I did not publish her until 2023. And it was a genre outside my wheelhouse. I'll
Mhm.
grant you that. But it was also, as I have gotten older, the stories and the words are much harder for me to be satisfied with. I'm not somebody who can just throw it on a page and go back and fix it later. For me, it's a continual editing, writing process.
It's a long
So
process. People have
yes,
no,
it is.
people that are not writers have no idea.
No
It is
concept.
such a long process.
It is. With regard to Sedona's story in Texas Trilogy, um, I have it fairly well plotted out in my head, but I'm working on Alyce 2.0. I'm working on the sequel to Alyce. That's going to be a duality. It's
Okay.
just going to be the two books. And then Sedona's story is next in the queue. Um, and I know. It's just
I know,
hopefully
and
people
the whole title, Trustworthy Texas Trilogy. And
trilogy.
you've got Shattered Trust and Mended Trust. I was going to say, what? What? Okay, but you got the next one coming. That's
I've
good. We're
got the next
waiting.
one coming. And I'm not going to box myself in and say, oh, look for it by the end of the year. Yeah, no.
It'll happen when it gets
No.
there. There we go. Hey, it took me forever to get my book three out of The Adventures in Ronan Drone. Recalled came out last week. And it's been like 3 years sitting there trying, but I've been so stinking busy. I've
Right.
got I've got other award-winning manuscripts that have never been published. Award-winning, but they never, I don't have time. That's my
I know.
excuse.
Hey, and it's a valid, I don't want to call it an excuse. It's a valid reasoning. Well, look at
Whatever.
George R. Martin. He still
Mhm.
hasn't finished, Fire and Ice. And when did Game of Thrones end?
That was
That was a
a
while
while
ago. That
ago.
was that
Yeah.
was a while ago. And he still hasn't finished all of the books. So I don't feel too bad.
Now you've
Not too,
got
too bad.
several series. The Corner of Heartache and Hopeful. That's a
Mhm.
series of what, 5 books, something like that.
Four,
4.
four. And I just finished the fourth book last year. And I published the first book 2014.
Okay, maybe I don't feel quite so bad. I'm in good company. How's that? So the Corner of Heartache and Hopeful series is Allie, Kira, Mick,
Mick and
and
Grace.
Grace. Yeah. And you've got a whole bunch of singles out there. Wildflower, Fulfilled, Christmas Unwrapped. That's got a great cover. I just caught my attention on that one. Um, on a Knife's Edge, Battleborn Love, and Battle Tested Love.
Tested Love. And
Yeah.
there's a third one coming there too.
And
And
okay.
that one I'm still canoodling
Canoodling.
in
Well,
my
hey, that
head.
goes with the genre. Come on. That's
Now that one hasn't really formed in my head yet, but I know I know who the main protagonists are gonna be. I kind of know where the plot's gonna go, but I don't have all of the puzzle pieces put in place yet.
well, it does sound like fun. Just the energy that you put behind you're talking
Oh,
about
that's
the
so
books.
sweet.
That's
Thank you.
uh,
It is, I like to say being a writer is a wonderfully frustrating
you're here.
career.
And you get to
It's
meet other wonderful, frustrated authors down the
yes,
road.
yes, and we can commiserate.
We can indeed. And we hope that people actually read our books at least occasionally and enjoy
Mhm.
them too, because that's what, at least part of the reason we write them.
Exactly. That's yeah, that is the reason. You know, if anybody says, "Oh, I'm going to be an author and I'm going to make $1 million," it's like,
Yeah,
girl,
you're in the wrong profession.
exactly.
Okay.
You
Well, your books will be available at DurhamandPublishing.com's bookstore. It'll take you right to those. They can get to you on your website, authorlindabailey.com. And next time a book comes out, let me know and we'll get it on our website too.
I so appreciate that very much. And I will. As soon as Alice 2.0 is out, you're my first phone call.
All right. You heard it here. Thank you, Lynda. I want to thank you so much for your time here today. And romance, it's always a hot topic, and you
Yes,
make
it
it
is.
even hotter. And to the rest of you out there, thanks for joining us here at Author in the Headlights. And until next time.